Aquari has decided to speak out, sharing his side of the story and explaining why he believes his brother was involved in setting up Duke the Jeweler. He's presenting evidence to support his claims, aiming to clarify the situation. Meanwhile, Boosie has stepped in to address the matter. The controversy surrounding Twari and the circumstances of Duke the Jeweler's death has raised serious questions. Some are beginning to doubt whether Boosie and his circle are as uninvolved as they've claimed. Duke was fatally shot in Houston shortly after participating in a dice game, where reports suggest he had significant winnings. What's notable is that just before his death, Duke was seen spending time with Boosie, and he even shared a photo of them together on Instagram, one of his final posts. Despite this, Boosie has publicly stated that he barely knew Duke, claiming Duke appeared at one of his concerts and left alone after the performance.
Dudes had tried to rob me and walked off by himself, bro. I had just met dude yesterday.
Boosie later appeared on Vlad TV to address the situation, stating directly that he had no involvement in Duke the Jeweler's killing. He explained that he barely knew Duke, having only met him briefly at a dice game where they spoke for a short time before Duke was later killed. Boosie even admitted that under different circumstances, he could have been the target, emphasizing how unsettling the timing was. According to him, Duke left the game on his own and headed to the parking lot where the incident occurred. Boosie stressed that he was nowhere near the scene and insisted his crew doesn't operate that way, saying they are financially secure and have no reason to target someone over dice game winnings. Despite his statements, many online remain skeptical. While Boosie appears to be saying all the right things, some believe the timing and the fact Duke was seen with him just before his death are suspicious. Boosie has repeatedly stated that such rumors don't match his character, but the amount of effort he's putting into proving his innocence has led some to question him further. That interview alone caused many to doubt his credibility. The situation is further complicated by Boosie's history of public disputes with TQ, who has previously accused him of fraud and favoritism. Now, TQ claims to have evidence showing Duke was set up. This has led some to suspect Boosie might be more connected to the events than he's admitting, suggesting there's more to the story than is being revealed. Here's the background. Duke the Jeweler, a well-known figure from Chicago, traveled to Houston for Labor Day weekend in 2022. Reports suggest he came specifically to do business with Boosie, allegedly carrying over $1 million worth of jewelry and cash. That day, Duke attended a celebrity boxing match before heading to a private dice game where Boosie and others were present. Boosie has said Duke gambled heavily that night but didn't win any money. Still, he described Duke as calm and composed, not upset about losing. Afterward, Boosie asked Duke to make him a diamond chain, and Duke agreed to create a unique piece as a sign of respect. The following day, Duke attended a concert where Boosie performed. When the event ended, Duke left alone to go to his car but never made it. Witnesses say two men jumped out of a black GMC, shot him, and took his jewelry and bag before fleeing. The precision of the attack suggested it was planned rather than random. Boosie has maintained his position since the incident, claiming neither he nor his associates were involved and that someone must have been watching Duke from the start. Authorities are now investigating who was in the room that night and whether it was a setup. However, there are still no arrests, no suspects, and no recovered property. Duke's belongings remain missing, and Boosie continues to speak publicly about the case without providing any information that fully clears suspicion. The main reason no one seems eager to clear Boosie's name in this situation is the timing of his traffic stop. He was pulled over right after Duke was killed. At first glance, it looked like a routine stop, but the timing raised eyebrows. This happened right after Duke was robbed and killed, prompting online speculation. Once federal authorities got involved, they made it clear this wasn't just another rapper's legal trouble, it was part of a separate, focused investigation. Boo isn't simply a witness here. He's under close scrutiny. Duke's brother, Staxis, came forward with no hesitation, calling it exactly what he believes it to be, a setup. He's reviewed footage, checked timestamps, and pieced together details. Duke wasn't just another person in the room. He was a respected jeweler with elite clients and valuable pieces. That night, he arrived confident, showing off his work, unaware he wouldn't leave alive. The most damaging allegation is that Houston PD reportedly found Duke's Louis Vuitton bag containing his jewelry inside Boo's home, not in storage, not with a friend in his house. The claim is that Duke asked Boo to hold it during the dice game, but after Duke's death, the bag never made it back to his family. There was no police report, no official statement, just silence. Adding to the suspicion, Duke's phone also went missing. The sequence of events paints a troubling picture. Duke arrives in Houston with over $1 million worth of jewelry, meets up with Boo, attends a dice game, ends up dead, and somehow his bag is found in Boo's home. Federal investigators are not ignoring that. Here are the confirmed details. Federal agents are experienced in tracking digital evidence. Every phone leaves a unique digital trail, and Duke's phone didn't just vanish at last pinged at Boo's recording studio before going completely dark. Phones don't move on their own, so unless it got there by accident, someone in Boo's circle likely had it. That already looks questionable. When investigators searched Duke's rental vehicle, they found something even more incriminating: fingerprints belonging to Boo's nephew. That connects family directly to the scene. Things escalated further when Boo's younger cousin was implicated as well, putting two close relatives under suspicion. This is no longer rumor. Forensic evidence is in play. One witness, stepping outside for a smoke, reported seeing Duke leave Boo's house. At first, it looked routine. Duke was calm and nothing seemed off. Then Boo's nephew appeared, not through the front, but from the side, as if he'd been waiting. Some see that as another indicator of a setup, according to federal reports and street accounts. Duke tried to defend himself and even swung first, but it was too late. Boo's nephew allegedly drew a weapon and fired. This didn't seem like a random dispute. It appeared personal and premeditated. Another critical detail is that Duke's jewelry remained with Boo's relatives afterward. Whether it was taken outright or simply withheld doesn't change the fact that it stayed in their possession. This case also connects to deeper family issues. Boo and his brother TQ have not spoken in some time, and the rift goes beyond sibling disagreements. Legal filings and police reports accuse TQ of forging Boo's signature, stealing over $360,000, and facilitating the signing of Boo's artist, Young Blue, to Empire Records without his consent. Boo has been clear in stating he no longer considers TQ or his side of the family part of his own. TQ denies the accusations, claiming Boo's version of events is false. But the tension is not just financial. Boo has spoken publicly about long-standing family favoritism, saying he feels their mother always sides with TQ, even urging Boo to drop the lawsuits. He describes a lifelong dynamic where TQ was the golden child and he had to fight for respect. Now, alongside financial betrayal, Boo is dealing with years of emotional strain brought to the surface. From the outside, it's unfortunate to see brothers in conflict so publicly, but with allegations involving $360,000 and forged documents, this isn't a matter easily resolved over a family gathering. It's far from a petty argument. This situation has caused serious damage to Boosie's career and personal life. At this point, there's no indication of a reconciliation. Boosie appears to be finished with it all. The legal disputes are still lingering, and the emotional strain remains raw. Sometimes family can harm you in ways strangers never could, and sadly, this seems to be one of those times. Boosie isn't the only one whose name never fully cleared in the Duke the Jeweler case. J. Prince also faced that challenge. This is where street politics come into play. Many people question how such an incident could happen under J. Prince's watch, especially given his reputation for enforcing the check-in system in Houston. The rule is simple: if you arrive in the city, you're expected to check in. Failing to do so can put you at risk of being robbed, set up, or worse. The controversy deepens if Duke did check in but was still harmed. That leads to speculation about whether someone gave permission for the incident to occur. People recall seeing Duke gambling with Boosie and J. Prince JRB just hours before his death, which fuels the belief there might be more to the story. J. Prince strongly rejected these accusations, stressing that his influence doesn't mean he controls every negative event in the city. He criticized law enforcement and media outlets for trying to connect him to the case without evidence, charges, or named suspects. J. Prince JRB also denied any involvement, saying Dukes and takeoffs deaths had no link to dice game setups or his circle. He described both situations as tragic coincidences and insisted his team played no role. From a legal standpoint, neither J. Prince nor his son has been tied to Duke's death. Police have never labeled them as suspects, nor has any credible evidence linked them to the shooting. However, the issue extends beyond legal documents. It's about perception. In the hip-hop world, someone with J. Prince's standing is often expected to know or control what happens around them. When violence occurs within that sphere, people demand explanations, even without proof. This is the double-edged nature of street influence. J. Prince's reputation brought his name into online discussions not because of concrete evidence, but due to public suspicion. Critics began questioning the purpose of the check-in culture if it can't ensure safety. Is it truly about respect, or is it simply street politics in disguise? Ultimately, the situation is fueled by speculation, not hard facts, no proof, no confirmed leads, just rumors and assumptions. J. Prince has expressed frustration at being treated as the scapegoat, pointing out that a well-known name doesn't automatically mean responsibility. Still, the timing, the people involved, and the Houston connection make it difficult for the public to let go. Charleston White also shared his thoughts on Duke's death, saying it deeply affected him to see such a loss occur in what should have been a safe environment. He described it as yet another example of violence harming the Black community. White openly criticized mob TIs, particularly J. Prince JRB, and his associates, accusing them of creating a dangerous atmosphere in Houston for rappers and entertainers. According to him, artists who check in are often drawn into high-stakes dice games that are fixed from the start. Charleston White believes Duke was lured into a false sense of security only to be taken advantage of. He's been consistent in saying this, framing it as part of a larger problem in the industry. What's labeled as protection is often just extortion. In his view, too many people in the game are turning a blind eye to it. For Charleston, Duke's death wasn't a random act, it was part of a toxic cycle that needs to be addressed. Meanwhile, with recent events surrounding Boosie, it's clear federal authorities are paying closer attention to him and his associates. He's been on their radar for years, with a long history of legal run-ins. While he's beaten several charges before, that kind of scrutiny doesn't simply disappear. Now, with old allegations involving his brother TQ and past fraud claims resurfacing, it wouldn't be surprising if investigators started re-examining earlier cases. It's not just about past incidents, it's also about the company he keeps. Today, the situations they're getting caught in, and whether those connections could draw further federal interest. When one person in a group gets into trouble, investigators often dig into every possible lead. Boosie's outspoken and confrontational nature has never made him the type to keep a low profile, which can make him an even bigger target. As for J. Prince, his name surfaces whenever something major happens in Houston. He's avoided legal trouble for years, but public speculation resurfaces anytime there's talk of mob TIs or high-profile cases like those involving Takeoff or Duke the Jeweler. This leads to recurring questions about how much influence he actually holds and whether authorities will ever intervene. So far, no official action has been taken against him. Still, when a name appears repeatedly in different situations, whether linked to dice games, the check-in culture, or being present when trouble arises, that kind of attention can eventually evolve into something more serious. It's unclear if law enforcement is preparing to escalate matters, but it's certain that the spotlight is on them. At this stage, the real question is whether Boosie and J. Prince will continue to avoid major consequences, or if a bigger development is quietly taking shape behind the scenes.